Hello, and welcome back to another video. It's that time of month. It is monthly wrap up, and we are just gonna get straight into it this month because February was a good reading month. The month of love just did something to me, and I was on a roll. We had some big chunky monkey books in February. I am going to give you a few statistics just before we start. In total, there was 9 books. One of those books was a DNF, which is the first book that I am going to talk about because it was actually the last book that I read for the month, but I'm just going to get that negativity out of the way. My average rating for the month out of those 8 books that I did read was 3.84. So unfortunately, we didn't have any 5-star reads in February, but we were very, very close with one of them. As per usual, I'm going to do my rating and then give you the rating from the reading community on Goodreads. Okay, but we're just going to get this DNF out of the way. It is a non-fiction self-development book. I have been wanting to dive into learning a bit more about finances, especially in regards to family finances, and I decided to pick up The Barefoot Investor by Scott Pape, I think it is. Yeah, Scott Pape. I think I got to just under halfway in. One, I didn't love the advice. Like in the first couple of chapters, like he's telling you that you need 5 different accounts, and one of the accounts is like your emergency fund. They're all nicknamed weird things, but I didn't get to that part. He's telling you that you need 5 different accounts, and in one of them, which is your emergency fund, you need to immediately put $2,000 in. I was like thinking, I was like, what if someone is literally starting from scratch? They have nothing to their name. They're expected to put $2,000 away into an account, and he just harps on about it, like, you know, it should be in there and you should not be touching it. And I just felt there was other things in there that, yeah, I just didn't agree with. The foundations of finance, I just didn't love and didn't agree. Nothing really like resonated with me. I found myself reading it and I was just questioning it the whole time, and I was just like, I don't think, like, you know, I was gonna try and give myself a little bit, but yeah. And just the language, like his use of tone in this book and the language, the way that he writes and things that he's saying in this, no, it just felt very like sexist, misogynist. I just didn't like this. So anyway, DNF, it's out of here. Going in my donation pile over here. Let's get into the actual read of the month. The first book that I read, which if you had have seen my last one, you would have seen that I started Onyx Storm, but I didn't finish it. I finished it in February. So this was my first book of February to be finished. Now, I love Fourth Wing, and I feel like there is mixed reviews on Iron Flame. I honestly, absolutely loved both of them. And I don't know whether it's third book syndrome, but I did not love this one. Like there's another series that I have read, and the third book is my least favorite. This has definitely been my least favorite so far. We have got a while now to wait until the 4th book comes out, but I am definitely going to have to do a reread of this one before the 4th book. I love this world. I love the dragons. I love Violet. I love Xaden. I love Rhiannon. I love Riddick. I loved Liam. There's so many good characters in this book and dragons in this book, but I just found that this one is about the 35 to 40% mark was when I got hooked. Like that first 35 to 40% mark, I was just like, what is going on? Like, who are all these extra side characters? Who is that? Who is that? I don't know who that is. I just had no idea what was happening. What the hell? I just feel like that first, probably about 35% was just, what the hell? And I actually went on to read another book because I was just like, nah, I'm just not loving this. And, you know, after so much hype and pre-ordering the book and everything, I was just like, oh my God, not liking this. And I had to pull myself away and start reading another book, which I actually finished. And then I come back to this. But yeah, once I hit about that 40% mark, I was like, right, I'm hooked. I absolutely was so invested. I'm not going to come here and give you spoilers because that's not what I'm about. Quite enjoy it. However, there was still that constant, who is this? What's going on in some parts? But because with Rebecca Yarros's writing, it's almost like things that you're reading, there's an ulterior meaning to what she's writing, and it's going to pop up in the next book. I just know it because that's what happened in Iron Flame. There's things from the first book that come up, and then again Iron Flame in this one. Like, it's just, you really need to almost be thinking this means something else as well. I did like it, but it has been my least favorite, and that ending I know the whole reading community that love this series will be like, what the hell? And now we've got to wait like 2 years for the next book to come out, and I just love Xaden. I really do. I can't put it in any other way, but I really love Xaden. And my gosh, I just fell even more in love with Andana in this book. I don't know how to say their names. It's so weird because like you read fantasy books and they've got all these like weird names and it's like, am I actually pronouncing that right in my head? I don't know. And then you say it out loud and you're like, I'm not sure. But Tan and Andana, I just love them and I love the banter between the dragons. This is what I mean. Like sometimes I actually like the dragons more than I like the people in this series. I rated this book a 3.25 and Goodreads rating was 4.28. So like I said, I had to pull myself away from Onyx Storm and I started another quick, easy romance. And when I was reading this, I was like, oh no, like, am I in a reading slump? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm just really not loving it. I went on and I picked up another book and I was like, okay, I'm not in a reading slump. It's just the book. I picked up another book and finished that one and it was King of Wrath by Anna Huang. Now, this book is a bit of a mafia boss romance and it is a series. So there is 3 more books after this and I think there might be a 5th one coming out. I think I saw, don't quote me on that. But this book is about Dante and Vivian. Dante is pretty much like a billionaire CEO, kind of like mafia boss type vibes. He is very set in his way, always thinks that he's never going to fall in love, he's going to be by himself, da 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 da. And he actually gets conned into an arranged marriage by Vivian's dad. Now, Vivian's dad and mum, they are jewelry owners and they are trying to get their way into high society and will do anything, have that high ticket name. What they actually do is they palm off their daughter. An arranged marriage, which is not uncommon in society in this world. The whole reason why this has happened is because Vivian's dad has actually blackmailed Dante. And then because obviously if they're married, you know, they're going to get into high society. There's this whole old money, new money type thing going on. You're either born into the riches or you're found money and have to try and prove yourself in society. And that's what Vivian's mum and dad are doing. She just kind of becomes a pawn in their plan to reach that. And there's a lot of issues going on with her relationship with her mum and dad, especially her dad. And Dante starts to become very protective of her because he obviously starts falling for her. And I just found it such an easy read and it was really fast paced. I found like there was always something happening. So I did really enjoy this one. Like I said, this is the first book of a series. I rated this a 3 and Goodreads rates it a 4.05. Third book of the month, like the shirt says it. I dove straight back into my comfort zone and everything that I love about reading and went back into the cowboy romance world. And I picked up the second book of the Eden series, which is Juniper Hill. This book follows Memphis and Knox. Knox Eden is the second brother of the Eden family. He is a chef and he works with his younger sister at the Eloise Inn and he kind of runs the restaurant side and Eloise runs the motel side. Eloise hires Memphis as a housekeeper, but Memphis actually runs away to Quincy. She is just escaping, again, family drama. She has had an accidental pregnancy with someone and that person was actually having an affair and they're sworn to like secrecy that, you know, she'll never reveal who the father is of the baby. It all just gets too much and she runs away to Quincy and she just coming to terms with moving and all she cares about is her son and she wants to give him the best life and be the best mum that she can be. And she gets to Quincy, little does she know that there's not actually any kind of rentals or anything available and Eloise actually puts her in the loft in Knox's house, which he has agreed to do. Memphis's son Drake is a real colicky baby. He's very upset and cries all through the night, just constantly waking up. So she's just having sleepless nights after sleepless nights and then having to get up and go to work and adjust to sending him into daycare. And she has problems with the daycare teachers, especially one, because Knox is obviously right next door. He can hear it all. So he ends up helping her, doing night shifts with her, try and settle him, and they start to bond. The dynamic of their relationship I just really liked because Knox has had some stuff in the past and he finds it hard to trust women, finds it really hard at first to warm up to Drake, have a baby in his living space. Memphis's past catches up with her in this book, and then also Knox's past catches up with him, but in a healing and closure aspect type way. They just become really protective of each other and their dynamic of the relationship is just so beautiful. Like I loved them as a couple and how Knox just stepped up. It was just so beautiful. But I am really loving the Eden series. So the next next book is Garnet Flats. This is book 2 out of 6. I gave Juniper Hill a 4.5. Goodreads rates it a 4.15. The next book that I read was Next to You by Hannah Bonham Young. This book follows Lane and Matt. This is a friends to lovers romance. Must have been the theme for February. All these romances, well, family issues and family things going on. But anyway, Lane's dad had passed away and left her with an inheritance. And she is a very insecure person from what I gathered at the start of the book. She's just not sure of what she's doing or where she's going, not sure in herself at all. Matt is from a big family. He is a co-owner of the mechanic. He's a very big family guy. He's made it very clear that he's not a one-night stand man. He's let's settle type guy. He makes it very clear that he has feelings for her, and Lane's like, oh, maybe we should stop this then, you know, like tries to pull away even though she is developing feelings for him as well. Lane buys a bus because she's like, what am I doing with myself? I hate my apartment. I don't like my job. And she's got this inheritance from her dad. So she finds this school bus for sale online and decides that she's going to renovate it. Matt and Warren decide to help her. I'm sure that you can kind of guess how things will develop, but I did like this book. However, I did enjoy Next of Kin, which is the first book in this series, better than this one. I rated this a 3.25 and Goodreads rates it a 4.04. The next book was my near missed out by this much near 5-star read. This book was my 4.75-star read. Mile High by Liz Tomford, the first book in the Windy City series. This book follows Xanders and Stevie. Xanders is a ice hockey player. He kind of has this reputation built around him. Bad boy on the ice, and then he's got a different girl waiting for him when he leaves each night. That's his reputation that his agent has built for him. Stevie, what ends up happening is they get a new sponsor, have designated flight attendants for the whole season, and Stevie is a flight attendant. She just sees Xander's facade and she just takes no bullshit. She's just like, whatever, I know who you are, I know what you like. She also has dated a professional athlete, and her brother is a professional NBA player who she lives with back in Chicago. She's grown up around it. She knows what people are like, and she's just like, I'm not taking shit from you, man. They obviously challenge each other and push buttons and everything along the way, and just their dynamic and their banter I really enjoyed following along with. When they finally started opening up to each other, had like a one-night stand is what they called it, to get it out of their system, because it's like this built up tension and sexual chemistry. They thought, oh well, let's just get this out one night and we're done. Kind of goes the other way, and they just want more and more and more. Stevie feels very insecure. She is a bit of a curvy girl. Now this is my bone to pick, because this book would have been a 5-star except for the term curvy. It was used even in chapters by Xanders when they were having, I don't know what I'm allowed to say, what I'm not on here. And he's like, you know, she sat her curvy body on top of mine. And I'm just like, was curvy really needed? She has been built up to have all these insecurities about her body and her appearance and the clothes she wears. I just found even in those intimate moments, especially coming from him, I just didn't love, he could have just said she sat her body on mine. Doesn't need the curvy in there. It just made me feel in a way he didn't really accept her, because it's like, why would you need to say that? That was the only reason why it didn't get a 5-star, because that was constantly coming up. I did really like this book. I cannot wait to keep reading this series. Like I said, I rated this a 4.75 and Goodreads rates it a 4.07. All right, we've got 3 more books. Now, if you watched my reading vlog that I did in February, you will know what these books are. And if you haven't, strap in. Finally started the Boys of Tommen series. First book, Binding 13, obviously follows Johnny and Shannon. First 2 books follow Johnny and Shannon. I did really enjoy this. Didn't love the Irish aspect. I did listen to the audio book as well, like on and off, because there was one time where I had 3 hours of driving in the one day, so I just listened to the book the whole time and didn't love the audio book. I don't know if it's just me, but I felt too old. I felt like I was too old to be reading about kids in secondary school. Please, before you start reading these, read the trigger warnings. These are very heavy book, very real, raw descriptions of real life things happening. Talks about neglect, child abuse, domestic violence, suggestions of rape, drug abuse. these kids in this book just go through the ringer, honestly. But yeah, Johnny and Shannon, this book is about. This first book, you see Shannon comes from a family surrounded by domestic violence. She never knows what she's going to walk into. When she comes home from school, whole life she has been bullied. It gets very, very severe. She gets beaten up, and for no reason at all. She doesn't instigate them, she just goes about her ways, but people just seem to just target in on her and just decide, let's make this girl's life a miserable living hell. It just broke my heart at one point because she's like, this is just my reality, but the place where I'm most scared, most fragile is in my home because of her dad. Anyway, she has an older brother Joey, and he is like her protector, her best friend. They're kind of like in it together. He sticks up for her at school. It gets so bad to the point where Shannon's mum actually pulls her out of her current school and enrolls her into the fancy rugby private school, which they can't really afford. So Shannon's mum is like working 2 jobs. She's also pregnant at the time. Don't want to give too much away. This series, it's like it rips your heart apart, then it puts it back together, and then it rips it apart 10 times more. And it's just honestly so heartbreaking. But I just wish, like, where was Johnny? He is just such an angel, so beautiful. Where is he in real life? Why was he not in my school when I was in high school? Because I felt like I needed a guy like Johnny when I was in high school. I really liked the story of Johnny and Shannon, and it just kind of kept you on your toes. I do feel like it was dragged out a bit. Like, there's a big chunk of book, and I feel like it could have been condensed a lot more. I just need people to please read the trigger warnings before you start, because there is an author note towards the front of the book and it explains everything. I honestly don't know what else to say. You just can't help but want to wrap Shannon in your arms and go and give Johnny a big hug as well, because he's just her saving grace. So I rated this book a 4, and Goodreads rates it a 4.44. The next book I read was a bit of an anticipated read for me. I was really wanting to get into this one, and that is The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. Now, I touched on it in my reading vlog, but she also has one other book before this, which is You with a View, and I haven't actually read that one because I just cannot find it. I can never find it. Whenever I go to the bookstore or if I'm shopping online, it's just always sold out. I did, however, find this one. This book follows Georgia and Eli. Georgia and Eli are in this friendship group. It's like there's the 3 of them. Their other best friend, Adam, is getting married, and he just believes that, you know, he's got this weird curse and all these things are just continually going wrong with his wedding. He's just constantly like, oh my god, it's a curse, oh my god, it's a curse. Georgia and Eli end up having to come together and work together to save the day. They did date for a while. They kind of broke up, and it was 5 years that they hadn't really had any contact or anything apart from the occasional group thing. They've always agreed to just be civil. Obviously didn't break up on very good terms. So they get teamed up by Adam to come and save the day and try and take on all these things from the wedding that are going wrong to make them better and get things back on track. They obviously start communicating again and opening back up to each other, and you know, they think, oh, is this thing possible again? Maybe, because the chemistry is still there, and Eli's done a lot of work on himself with therapy, and he's quit his job, which was a major factor in their breakup. It was almost like a scenario in their past of the right person, wrong time, and this is their story and their journey of coming back together. And I found it just such a beautiful, easy read and such a nice little story, and it was just so heartwarming to read. A bit of steamy romance in there too. Gave this book a 3.5 stars, and Goodreads rates it a 4.15. If you're still here, we're up to the last one. Okay, I'm so sorry, I have rambled and rambled and rambled. The final book that I read for the month, book 2 of the Boys of Tommen series, Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. I finished all these other books that were my original TBR. They were what I picked, and then I was like, you know what, finished, and I've still got 5 days or something left. You know what, I'm just gonna free pick, and then I went over to my TBR shelf. I'm just gonna do it while this book doesn't scare me. Book wasn't scaring me, and after that last ending, I was like in Binding 13. After the way that ended, I was like, I just need to know what happened. I went on the journey, and this book just made me fall more and more and more in love with Johnny. Like, he's just so beautiful. Again, there was the aspects that I didn't like I didn't love the Irish aspect. I didn't love that sometimes it just made me feel like I was intruding on teenagers' talk. The first chapter, I bawled. Oh my god, I'm not going to be able to put this book down. There was one day where I read 300 pages of it. So nice to see Shannon on the other side of things. That obviously this book isn't all sunshine and rainbows. All those themes from the first book are still in this one. Things where Johnny and Shannon obviously can't go really well for so long. Something has to happen. It's just so nice to see Johnny be so understanding and give Shannon her space, but also still be there for her. Johnny's mum and dad, angels. Like, you can see where he gets it from. I'm not going to say anymore. Just go and freaking read this series because you will not be disappointed. So I rated this a 4.5 and Goodreads rates it a 4.52. So that's all I have got to talk about today. Very, very good reading month. Kicked off some big books off my TBR, which was really, really good. Although I didn't get a 5-star read, I did have a really good reading month and I enjoyed all of those books, apart from Barefoot Investor. That is all for today. I hope you liked it. You will be seeing me at the start of April doing another monthly wrap up on my read of Elsie's Silver books, only in March. I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you for following along. If you have lasted this long, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Bye.
From my window, sun's coming up like the day before. You're like a stone on my pillow. I don't make a sound when I shut the door. You don't have to wake up yet. We can spend all day in bed. I'll put the TV in the room. We'll have a Netflix marathon, Kenny G saxophone. We'll order in a bunch of food. I'll put your favorite music on, all the way baritone. Yeah. Shut the lights, go infrared. We can spend all day in bed. I get the wine and the corkscrew.